The Puget Sound is home to many different types of people and creatures, yet environmental justice often seems to be lacking for many. Many animals in the Puget Sound area, especially marine animals like orcas and salmon, struggle with toxic pollutants in the waters. These species further struggle due to habitat alteration, especially seen with salmon habitat being lost as a result of hydropower dams that are needed for operating AI data centers. Loss of local species like salmon impact hunting and fishing for the worst. With local people such as Native Americans that traditionally depended on salmon as a food source now being placed at risk for food insecurity.
Hunting is a tool for conservation that facilitates habitat creation and management, prevents destruction of crops and livestock, and controls diseases.
Many chemicals found in the waters surrounding Seattle are meant for agricultural management. These chemicals, used liberally on crops and livestock, drain into waterways during rain and wind, polluting waters with toxins that are indiscriminately harming wildlife.
Orcas serve as an icon, but they're also constantly under threat due to various factors. These iconic animals also have serious emotional and spiritual significance to local indigenous people in the area. The Lummi Nation has continuously fought for the betterment of orcas in the Puget Sound and in Washington. The tribes like the Lummi Nation who live around the Puget Sound rely on fishing for profit and to feed their people.
Supplying data centers with the required amount of electricity they need would pose a massive economic issue. The cost of such equates to, very rudimentarily, $2 billion. If the state government chose to fund these energy electricity increases, it would be through tax raises. Unfortunately, the nature of taxes results in individuals of lower income dedicating a higher percentage of their wealth to taxes than higher income individuals. Recently, AI usage and development have increased exponentially. As a result, the data centers they rely on have been drawing an increasing amount of power to function. These surpluses in energy requirements have led to states increasing their demands relating to production. Washington state prides itself on its relatively green energy production, as it draws 60% of electricity from hydropower. Unfortunately, these dams have a clear effect on Washington's aquatic wildlife, destroying and altering ecosystems and disrupting behavioral trends of aquatic species.
In the early 1900s, you could look at the Puget Sound and see hundreds of thousands of salmon swimming in the water. Today there are only tens of thousands. Temperature rising in the water causes the salmon population to go down due to lower oxygen levels. Not only does the population of salmon affect the orca population, but surrounding tribes in their fishing season. Native Americans are more likely to experience food insecurity than any other racial groups. This is due to many factors, including displacement from traditional homelands and destruction of their traditional economies and food systems. Many Native people live in food deserts where it's difficult to get access to fresh and healthy food.
2025, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, WDFW, increased the price of hunting licenses by 38% to account for decreasing participation in hunting. This increase makes the activity even more expensive and even less accessible to people of lower income. Another place where environmental justice is a contributing factor is in the spread of disease. Chronic wasting disease, CWD, and hoof rot are major issues in environmental justice. They disproportionately affect some geographical regions by taking away communities' abilities to experience the benefits of this wildlife. Hunting is a solution to this as it slows the spread of these diseases by managing the population for the better.
Orcas in Washington, especially in the Puget Sound area, have been fighting for their very survival for an incredibly long time, especially due to the result of human-wildlife interactions. Southern resident killer whales have recently lost two calves due to toxic chemical exposure in the J-pod. People have a long history of interacting with wildlife in the Pacific Northwest, especially with salmon, which is constantly relied on for food and work, but this is under a heavy threat due to habitat loss from dams and additional chemical exposure. For orcas, when they're eating those salmon, they pass on even more chemical buildup to their young. This is what happened recently with J-pod and that lost one of their calves. This ends up posing an unknown threat to orcas besides the climate change and human-caused threats. In the 1970s, there's the additional threat of southern resident killer whales being taken from Puget Sound for entertainment purposes. The indigenous people, like the Lumi tribe close to Bellingham, have been actively fighting for orcas' returns to the area in order for cultural and spiritual significance of this.
Throughout Seattle's history, it has been marked with expensive industry that would pollute Puget Sound and the surrounding area over several decades. This chemical pollution comes most commonly from daily use of commercial products, copper, mercury, and other elements washed into the sound via rain runoff. In addition, DDT, PAHs, PCBs, PCDDs, DEHP, and other chemicals enter the waterways in and around Seattle due to wastewater dumping, runoff, and illegal dumping. The majority of this pollution comes from residential, industrial, and agricultural areas lacking in drainage. This allows for unrestricted pollution as there are no methods to capture and filter out chemicals from rain runoff completely. Organizations are focusing on repairing the damage caused, aiming to fund areas heavily polluted, not previously known or recognized. Such groups such as the Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition aim to acknowledge less privileged areas and apply an equal amount of effort cleaning such regions as more wealthy and publicly recognized areas.
Whether you realize it or not, environmental justice is a major issue present in almost every aspect of life. From the newfound use of AI data centers all the way back to the ancient tradition of hunting, environmental justice expresses itself in many different ways.